So, what we have going on today, there's been lots of discussions around the Tolson Center. Tomorrow there's supposed to be the city agenda to see if it's on there. Our friend Jason said if we're going to organize around it, we got to figure out exactly what we want. And so that's the discussions we're having. And our thoughts is what we want is to say to the city that it's a community center that the community wants. And the city needs to continue funding it. And the city needs to figure out, like, they need to manage it. Like, we don't have to come up with a solution of who's going to run it or how it's going to be run or how it's going to be managed. Like, it's the city's responsibility. But we need to say it needs to be funded. Like, this place matters to the community just like any other park does. And again, like, what is unreal to me is if we have millions of dollars to give to a for-profit business to do expensive condos and housing development, then the city needs to spend money on a community center. Like, it's a no-brainer. So the problem is that there's really been a lack of like leadership and dedication. And so again, that falls back on the city's responsibility to find someone that has the vision and the passion for the Tolson and that can run it. And the city puts money behind it. They pay a director to actually run the place and bring in continue with whatever programs or whatever else has got going on. So that's one of the things going on today. I also did some interviews. I'm cleaning the oven right now. My mom made us dinner. She's messy when she cooks. It makes me crazy. It was very nice of her to cook though. But we cook different. When I cook, I clean the whole time. When my mom cooks, she leaves this big mess. So, we're interviewing candidates to replace me at CCJ. And I don't feel like I can talk about, of course, how the interviews are going or anything. Like, that's to be determined. We're in the process. And so we initially had 33 resumes, I think. And we planned on interviewing around 6 people. I think we scheduled 4 or 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 we scheduled. So we might schedule 1 or 2 more. I don't think the verdict is completely in yet next week, but for now we're good. We have some good candidates. It's interesting to me, like looking at the resumes, that people applying for executive director positions actually apply and don't write letters of recommendation. So let this be like an opportunity for learning. If you're applying for a position, you write a cover letter. And on your cover letter, write why you actually, like, just a sentence or 2, why you want to work there. Show that you actually know about what the business is doing and like what you maybe can bring to it, or why you want to even work there. So bad for people, but those people who did not send a cover letter, they were an immediate no for me. Like, I didn't even consider them. And normally, I don't even look at resumes. I'm not the only one in this process. Like, of course, it's mostly the board, and I'm just a member of the team helping and, like, looking over stuff. But, yeah. Like, who applies for an executive director position and doesn't send a cover letter? And on top of that, not only, like, the instructions say to send a cover letter. So they're, like, applying for an executive position and can't even follow basic instructions. I mean, that is a problem. That's a big problem. So, no, you don't get an interview if you're applying for an executive director position and you don't write a resume or a cover letter. So that's a good experience. I've learned that in this process that I do feel experienced in the hiring process. Like I have had significant experience now in interviewing and reviewing resumes and all of that. So that's great. It's neat to know, like, I mean, among other things, that I've actually learned this stuff. So I appreciate that. I'll keep you updated if there's any more. I might do some homework tonight. Or might just sit and chill. The kids are pretty active, so I'm ready for them to be sleeping, or at least in their rooms with their doors closed and silence. That would be good. I would take that as well. So, that's it. That's all I got. So I'm going to do the last video of the night, probably. And then I'll go to bed at 9 o'clock. Because I get up at 6 and that's too early. I like to sleep. So, I have to put my car in the garage because it's raining. It's hot. It came on late. My son. So tonight I got to have a nice conversation with one of my friends. A woman I go to church with. We were talking about, she's been looking at with like the events that happened in Charlottesville, and then the event in South Bend where the police stood there. She said that as she stood there, she wondered like what the police were thinking. Sorry for it to be dark for a second. Like the police that were there, what were they thinking? And I kind of like, I remember standing there looking at them too, wondering the same thing. Like, what are these officers actually thinking? Like, do they support this? You know, are they just doing their job? Like, what are they thinking about? And so, and then she wondered from there, like, what are our local officers, like, what is their framework in regards to racial justice? What is their awareness of various races? And so she just wants to learn more about, I mean, well, I'm going to say, ideally, many of us would like for police, I always say if they were trained as like social workers and teachers, that would be wonderful, but that's not the case. So, nice. So officers should get training, especially like on the development of the brain for youth and mental health stuff, of course, that's a huge one. And then on social justice, because I'm not, the name of this blog is Caiceros Justice, so we'll be talking about justice stuff a lot, so I hope you're ready for that. But it's this idea as people of faith, like what does that actually mean to us? Here's your mail, Mom. And how invested are we in that? What is the idea of being friends with our enemies? I read this quote that's hanging on my fridge from Desmond Tutu. If you want peace, you don't talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies. You build relationships with people who see things different than you. There's always a place and a way that we can relate to one another. And so, like, finding that place is a responsibility. If it can go as far as to say, like, if your goal is justice and peace, then you need to find ways to build relationships with people who see the world differently than you. And especially, I think, people in the faith community, like, if you're, I'll just say a Christian Mennonite, just off the top of my head, and you're doing peace work, we can go around and judge what someone does, but maybe what we should do is get to know them, get to know who they are, why they feel like they feel, where that came from, because just like we can love someone who's done crime or done wrong, we can love people who see the world differently than us. And like, if we truly are people of God, then do we hold a responsibility to love all people, love the humanity in all of us? We can dislike and disagree with perspectives and dynamics, but we hold a responsibility to get to know and understand and find places and ways that we do relate. And so, I mean, that's kind of the Caiceros Justice of the night. Caiceros Justice. We're gonna make a thing. Just kidding. So, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts about like working towards a peaceful society and how to attain that. And when it comes to people that perceive things differently, and there's a wide range of boundaries with that, of what exactly that means, because like when we're talking about people that are like violent or coming from a place of hate, do we just go get to know them and build a relationship with them? I mean, do we? I don't know. Have a good night. Think about that. Caiceros Justice.